true. My name is Kristian Waneck. I'm head of streaming at Danish Broadcasting, which is the equivalent for NRK here at Norway or BBC in UK. And I'm here today to talk to you about relaunching our streaming service, DRTV. And there's been a lot of talk about going agile and have small incremental releases and not doing forklift releases and changes of services. And it is exactly what we're doing, actually. So it's a big release and relaunch for us, but we have good reasons to approach it this way. So that's what I want to talk to you about. It's going to be a delivery perspective, so we're going to get a bit practical here at the end of the day. Okay, just a little background about DRTV. We came out in 2011, so we do have some years behind us now, and we are the #1 Danish video streaming service. So we're not the biggest. We still have some international competitors that I will come back to. But as Danish streaming services come, we are #1. We have 6 linear channels, and it says 15,000, I should say 5,000 VOD assets on the service. And first and foremost, we are a public service broadcaster, so we have a distinct Danish and public service profile for the service. We do have a big reach. It's not 60% per week. It's almost 40% per week that use our service, and we're pretty proud of this. But we're still trailing the big international players, YouTube and Netflix, that are still bigger than we are. And we have a very strong brand, both in brand vitality and brand strength. We're up there in the top corner, right up there with YouTube and Netflix and Spotify. So the users have a really strong perception of the service. And this is also a bit scary, I will say, when you relaunch a service, because obviously it's very important for us to keep that position in the perception of the users. And then we have a strong strategic focus within the organization. There's been a lot of talk today about the move from linear to streaming, and we're in the position in DR that we're actually closing linear channels and moving that content over to be streaming only. So we start to look at DRTV as a main entrance to all our video content on par with our primary linear channel, DR1. So we do have a very strong strategic position internally to get the backup we need to do these projects. So, but of course there's plenty of challenges as well. I just picked a few. This list is long, but first and foremost, we don't have the share that we would want to. We have a big reach, but comparatively, the users spend less time with our service than they do with our competitors. So this is something that we would like to address and change with the new service. And then we have issues with the younger audiences. As all of you know, and as been mentioned a couple of times today, younger audience are moving away from linear channel. We're up to a third now of the younger audiences who don't use linear channels. And how to get those back to use our products is a very big and strategic challenge for us. So where do they go? Well, they go to the aforementioned players. They go to Netflix and YouTube, and this is why we look to them for something we need to deal with. The scary part about YouTube and Netflix, of course, is the budgets that these guys have. They are just huge when it comes to investments in both content and technology, and we do see even more of these players moving in. Disney will be coming this year. Amazon is moving very fast in this area as well. And looking at the technology budgets, It's the same thing. This is what wakes me up in the morning and thinking, how do you compete with competitors that have a technology budget that's a factor 200 of the ones that we have at DR. So you couple that with our situation now, and I usually use this picture to describe it. This is the architecture of DRTV. We have a monolithic backend, and then we have an army of suppliers that build our front ends. And this is a very big limitation on our development velocity that has been going down for the past couple of months. So this is something that we need to address. So the challenges are big, and that's why we take a radical approach to change the service and relaunch the service. So looking at the goals that we have, it's all about growing the service. We need to grow our activation, especially among the younger audiences that we want to bring to the service. And then to build on share, we need to build both loyalty and deepen the engagement of the users who actually use the service. And then we need to increase our development velocity to make the changes faster that we need on the service. So, okay. So to do that, we started the program for the new DRTV, and doing so, we quickly found out that rebuilding and relaunching the service is not just a technology project. There are at least 4 dimensions that we are trying to address. The first is content. We are in the content delivery business, and we need to have an eye on how we present content and what content we put into the service, how much, and so on. And then, of course, there is the user experience, the design, and the functionality of the apps that we need to address. But then we quickly learned that we also need to work with our internal workflows in order to make the other things happen. And then at the bottom of that, we need the technology to support all of this. So I'll just take a very quick rundown of these 4. And content we are working continuously with. You saw maybe on the brand assessment chart that we've made a big lift last year, and it's not for any big technology or app updates. It's for working with the content. So we've looked very much at making our content available for a longer time. We came from being a catch-up service where it would usually be around 7 days to now having the content being in the platform for a year or more. Then we've worked a lot with the front page, moving away from a catch-up logic and looking at the service anew to be a service in its own right, and trying to work with the publication of bundled contents to give a rhythm to the service, so the users know what to expect on different weekdays. And this has nothing to do with technology. It's simple curation of the service. And that has given us some quick wins over the last year. This is just one KPI to look at it, one way to look at it. This is a bounce rate on the front page, and we see that going down steadily when we have this focus on how to present the content right. So then we've redone the entire user experience. And I have the old DRTV or the existing DRTV up here on the left, and the new one on the right. And again, it's a streaming service, so you will have Rails, you will have presentation of the content, but we have made some changes. It is a new look and feel, and we have made a UX that's better adopted for the different platforms that we come out on. And then we have made a user journey to be streaming first instead of catch up as it were as it is in the existing service. Then we are working with making the content more personalized, and we're introducing a family login, so I don't get all the recommendations that my 11-year-old son of the shows that he saw. And then behind that, there's a new CMS that allows for much greater flexibility in the curation of the service and the presentation of the content. And we have support for video loops and for trailers to a much larger extent than we have in the existing service. So a lot going on there. And then we have the workflows. This was an early conceptualization of what are the actual workflows that go into operating DRTV. And we found out that first of all, we had to change some of the workflows that we already have. And some of these didn't even exist in the organization. So just to be able to deliver on the ambition of the new DRTV, we've had to change existing workflows and introduce new ones. We have new capabilities for controlling the user experience through a CMS. And we have new processes for using data in the curation. There's been some talk about that. It's still a fairly new territory for us, and we need to find our way how to do this in an efficient way. But we do have the tools now to start that learning process. Then we have capabilities for personalization. And we're starting to deliver more pictures for each episode, for series, for seasons, and these video loops that I talked about before to make a better presentation, and a higher degree of trailers on the service as well. And finally, we need to provide more metadata for the different shows, seasons, and episodes. And finally, there's technology, and this is a context diagram for DRTV. I won't talk you through all of it. Don't worry, just the major technology implementations that we've had to make. First of all, we've built a new content catalog and a backend for DRTV to get out of the monolithic architecture and over to a more microservice-based architecture. Then we've had to completely rebuild the metadata structure for the service, so it's adapted for streaming, so streaming first instead of linear first. We've built improved support for pictures, video loops, and trailers. We've implemented a content recommendation engine, a new CMS for the editors to control the service, and finally all the integrations for the ecosystem surrounding DRTV analytics and so forth. So this is why we call it a forklift shift. It is an entirely new technology platform that we are implementing. Oh yeah, and new apps for all applications on top of that. So that's a big mouthful, and how's it going with that? We started out in 2017 with the new strategy and product vision that was presented in the summer of 17. And being a state-owned company, we do have to do proper procurement processes when buying new technology platforms. So we spent the fall of 17 and the spring of 18 doing so, and signed contracts with the few new suppliers that we have signed with in the spring of 18. So we started implementation in March 18, and We are now development complete on 3 of our platforms and are going through user acceptance tests. And will soon open a public preview, we call it, because we're a broadcaster. All of you would probably know it as a beta, but at DR we're calling it a preview on responsive web, while we're finishing up the rest of the platforms that we are then releasing later this year. So it's been quite an intensive program, and I have a few more gray hairs than I had a year ago, but we are coming along very strongly, and we do have finished apps to show for it. Good. So what are the pains and gains then of taking this approach to relaunching a service? Well, if we look at the pains first, it is a huge undertaking. It has been definitely the biggest project that I have been involved with in my time at DR. It is possible to change sourcing and delivery strategy and rebuild an entire platform, but it is costly and risky. And then you have to be aware that it will probably be a true transformation project. It is not just a technology project. You need to consider all the 4 dimensions that I mentioned before. And then we have suffered from what I found out is called the difficult second album syndrome. So when you already have an existing service that is very successful, you need to be really careful about the number 2 version of that service, that you don't let your users down, that you don't let their expectations for your service down. And we've had a strategy of leveraging standard products and platforms, and I still believe that this is the way for us to go. Again, reflecting on the technology budgets of the big competitors, we need to use standard products to build our service. The difficulty is that you still want to build a service that feels unique to the users. And how do you do that when using standard products, especially being a public service broadcaster with a different rhythm and a different DNA in terms of publishing, of not being fiction but being driven by news and current affairs programs? This has proven difficult for us to get that balance right. And then, a bit more concrete, our vision work was too detailed. It has come a restraint for the changes that we need to make during the program. So be aware of that if you go into a project like this. We do, however, also already see the gains. First and foremost, we have a massive leap in platform capabilities. The level of control over the UX now is completely different to what it was before. The control is now in the hand of editors instead of developers, and we're now able to make UX changes across platforms instantly, whereas before that would be a development task I would have to ask 7 different suppliers to do. And we already have better data for editors to operate the service on. And then we have new and improved features for the end users. It will be a personalized service, and we will have a more appealing presentation of content. And we will have a family login to make sure that kids are protected from all the grown-up stuff that we have in the service as well. And then finally, we have streamlined development of the service moving forward. So we expect to increase our development velocity again. We have a more flexible architecture. We have fewer and stronger suppliers. And we're now piggybacking on their platform development, so we can use the items in their roadmap to improve on our service. So we have seen wins already. So I'll leave you with this. Of course, we don't know what the results will be. It's always in at the end in the hands of the users to judge whether we will be a success with the launch of the new DRTV. But the thing we can see already is that we have a whole new toolbox, a whole new set of capabilities that will allow us to operate the service more efficiently and increase the development velocity moving forward. So with that, I will say thank you.
Yes, thank you.